Number 1, lipstick was once a power move for the dead. You think lipstick is just for date night, job interviews, and smudging on coffee cups. Cute. In ancient times, lipstick wasn't a flirtation device, it was war paint for corpses and queens. Let's rewind to Mesopotamia around 5,000 years ago. Women and some seriously confident men were grinding up crushed gemstones, bugs, and rust to smear vivid colors onto their lips. Why? Because red lips didn't just say, "Kiss me," they screamed, "I'm powerful and probably cursed." The Egyptians took it further. Cleopatra allegedly used a mix of carmine beetles and fish scales. The result? Shiny, blood-red lips that shimmered like a warning sign. Touch me and you'll die, or worse, I'll make you help me pyramid shop. But it gets weirder. In medieval Europe, wearing lipstick was considered a sign of being in league with Satan. Red lips equals demonic. But later on, Queen Elizabeth I decided to bring it back, because why not wear poisonous lead and mercury on your face if it makes you look sassy while slowly killing you? So yeah, what you now casually apply in the car at red lights used to be a symbol of status, sorcery, and slow death. Basically, your makeup routine has hauntingly powerful energy and at least one ingredient that used to be classified as a heavy metal. Number 2, high heels were invented for butchering animals ready to ruin Fashion Week forever. High heels were not invented for elegance. They were invented for stability during slaughter. That's right, heels were originally worn by Persian butchers in the 10th century so they could stay firmly planted while standing in pools of animal blood. Let that marinate the next time you're wobbling down a hallway in stilettos, questioning every decision you've made since brunch. Eventually, Persian soldiers adopted them so they could stand in stirrups while shooting arrows, because nothing says "I'm here to kill you" like stylish posture and elevated calves. European aristocracy saw this and thought, "Ooh, murder chic," and ran with it. King Louis XIV wore red high heels to make himself look taller and more important. Because clearly, what screams "I'm a powerful man" like shoes you can't jog in? By the 1700s, men ditched heels and dumped them onto women, where they've stayed ever since, becoming a bizarre symbol of femininity despite being born in carnage and combat. So when someone says beauty is pain, you can confidently respond, yeah, and historically it's also about blood drainage and horseback murder. Number 3, teddy bears were inspired by a brutal hunting trip. Teddy bears. Soft, cuddly, innocent. The mascot of sleepy toddlers and weird Valentine's Day gifts. But do you know how they started? Gunshots and presidential savagery. In 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt went on a hunting trip in Mississippi. His team tracked and captured a bear, tied it to a tree, and presented it to him like a birthday piñata. But Roosevelt's shocking plot twist refused to shoot it, said it was unsportsmanlike. Everyone applauded his compassion, ignoring the part where they had still chased, lassoed, and beat a bear into submission. A political cartoon about the event went viral. 1902 viral ACA newspapers, and a candy shop owner's wife stitched up a cute, sad-looking bear toy for their window display. They called it Teddy's Bear, and boom. 1,000 childhood bedrooms were born. But let's be clear. This beloved bedtime companion is directly descended from a moment of organized animal brutality, wrapped in patriotism and lightly seasoned with guilt. So yeah, next time you cuddle your teddy bear, just remember it owes its entire existence to a bear that was tied to a tree and then used for a PR stunt. Sleep tight. Number 4, Coca-Cola was liquid cocaine for respectable people. Let's talk about soda. You might think Coca-Cola was invented as a fizzy treat for hot summer days. But nope. The original Coke was basically a respectable crack cocktail. Back in 1886, a pharmacist named John Pemberton, a wounded Civil War vet with a morphine habit, decided to create a tonic to ease his addiction. His solution? Mix cocaine from coca leaves with caffeine from cola nuts, dissolve it in sugary syrup, and call it a health drink. Because apparently, if you add bubbles and sugar to a narcotic, it becomes classy. It was marketed as a cure for headaches, fatigue, impotence, and even nervous afflictions, which is 1800s speak for being vaguely sad but not allowed to talk about it. And it worked. Because you were drinking cocaine, it was served at pharmacies as a respectable pick-me-up for tired housewives, businessmen, and literally anyone who liked the taste of chemical mania. The cocaine wasn't removed until 1929 when people finally realized, hey, maybe we shouldn't be giving children and grandmothers a neurostimulant strong enough to make Freud cancel plans. So yeah, next time you sip a Coke, just picture a bearded pharmacist in Georgia yelling "science" while furiously stirring narcotics into a metal bucket. your drinking history, and originally, it slapped way harder. Number 5, chainsaws were invented for childbirth. Imagine going into labor and instead of hearing, "Breathe, you've got this," a man in a powdered wig rolls in with a chainsaw. Yeah, that actually happened. The chainsaw, yes, the one you now associate with horror movies and lumberjacks named Chad, was originally invented in the 18th century to assist with childbirth. Specifically, it was created to perform symphysiotomy, a terrifying procedure where the pelvic bone is sawed apart to make room for the baby. Because forceps weren't horrifying enough, apparently. This early chainsaw was a handheld, crank-operated bone saw with a rotating chain of little teeth, which, shocker, looked a lot like a tiny modern chainsaw. Doctors thought, let's make cutting through human bone easier and faster, and someone else said, why stop there? Let's automate the horror. Eventually, the chainsaw got beefed up and moved on to trees because apparently someone realized, hey, maybe this should be used on things that don't scream. So, next time you're walking past a Home Depot and hear the buzz of a chainsaw, remember, it all started with a woman giving birth while a man cranked a sharp whirring blade next to her pelvis and said, "Trust me, I'm a doctor." Motherhood. Nature's original boss battle. Number 6, Listerine was floor cleaner before it became mouthwash. You gargle it, you wince, you pretend your gums aren't screaming, but that searing, minty miracle known as Listerine, it was never meant to make your breath smell nice. It was meant to sanitize surgical instruments and clean floors. When it was first concocted in 1879, Listerine was advertised as a disinfectant for wounds, bathrooms, and probably emotional trauma. It was the WD-40 of its time. Just slap some on it and hope for the best. Cuts, sure. Mold, why not? Gonorrhea, absolutely. But here's the twist. In the 1920s, the geniuses behind Listerine realized they could quadruple sales if they told people their bad breath was ruining their lives. So they invented the term halitosis, which sounds like a terrifying disease but literally just means meh breath. Suddenly, people who had never thought twice about their mouths were chugging Listerine like it was holy water. Does it burn like betrayal? Yes. Does it feel like your tongue's being punished for crimes it hasn't committed? Also yes, but it works. So every time you swish that electric blue firewater, just know you're putting floor cleaner and marketing genius straight into your face hole. Capitalism, mint-flavored and slightly terrifying. Number 7, trampolines were designed for human flight training. Let's take a moment to appreciate trampolines, the glorious backyard device responsible for 85% of childhood injuries and 100% of feeling like a majestic spring-loaded squirrel. But did you know trampolines were not invented for kids or even for fun? Nope. They were created to train people for aircraft ejection and human flight. In the 1930s, a circus performer named George Nissen looked at safety nets used in trapeze acts and thought, hey, what if we bounce on this like kangaroos with a death wish? But the military said, let's use it to teach pilots how to land after getting blown out of a plane. Yep. The early U.S. Air Force used trampolines to simulate mid-air orientation and practice landing techniques, because apparently nothing prepares you for falling from the sky like bouncing up and down in your gym shorts. NASA even used them to train astronauts. Trampolines helped them develop balance and body control in low gravity. So yes, that flip you barely pulled off in 6th grade, astronauts did it better and called it training. Eventually, it trickled down to backyards where it became less about aerial survival and more about sprained ankles, broken fences, and arguments over whose turn it is. So the next time you're flying midair screaming, I'm a bird, remember, you're basically in astronaut boot camp minus the dignity. Number 8, Qtips were created to clean baby eyeballs. You know Qtips, the delicate little cotton wands you were warned never to stick in your ears but did anyway like a rebel with no self-preservation. Turns out they were originally invented in the 1920s for cleaning babies' eyeballs. A guy named Leo Gerstenzang watched his wife wrap cotton around a toothpick to clean their baby's eye goop. Parenting was very DIY back then. He thought, what if we industrialize this horrifying process? And boom, Qtips were born. Originally named Baby Gaze, by the way, which aged like expired yogurt, they were quickly rebranded into something that didn't sound like a nightclub for toddlers. Despite being marketed as ear-safe, doctors have literally spent decades screaming, don't put these in your ears, because guess what? They push wax deeper and can rupture your eardrum. But do we listen? No. Because swabbing your ear canal is disturbingly satisfying and humans are nothing if not impulse-driven gremlins. So the next time you're elbow deep in ear cleaning, remember, That product was made for crusty baby eyes, renamed after a questionable phase, and repurposed into something your ENT hates. Progress. Number 9. Bubble wrap was originally fancy wallpaper. Bubble wrap, the official stress ball of adulthood. That delightful pop therapy that turns responsible adults into giddy toddlers. But the original purpose of bubble wrap. Wallpaper, yes. In 1957, two engineers, Alfred Fielding and Mark Chavens, tried to create a textured, modern wall covering by sealing two shower curtains together and trapping air bubbles inside. The result? A lumpy, weird-looking plastic sheet that made walls look like they had chickenpox. Turns out, nobody wanted to live in a house that felt like it was wrapped in a giant Ziploc bag. So instead of giving up, the inventors pivoted and eventually realized their squishy failure made excellent packaging material. IBM later picked it up to protect early computers during shipping. And just like that, bubble wrap went from avant-garde interior disaster to the reason your Amazon package isn't shattered. And the best part? Despite being scientifically useless for your mental health, bubble wrap has become humanity's most beloved accidental fidget toy. You don't even need to be stressed. You just see it and boom, 10 minutes later you're on the floor, deep in a popping trance like a cat with a laser pointer. So next time you unwrap a fragile item, thank the design flop that didn't become your living room and did become your favorite low-budget therapy session. Number 10. Frisbees came from a pie company. Frisbees, the quintessential beach toy, college quad staple, and universal sign of I might own a hacky sack. But their origin, deadly desserts. In the late 1800s, students at Yale University discovered that empty pie tins from the Frisbee Pie Company made great throwing discs. They'd yell "Frisbee" to warn passersby as they chucked the tins across campus like calorie-laden boomerangs. Eventually, a guy named Walter Morrison saw the flying potential and created a plastic version he called the Pluto Platter because aliens were trendy at the time. But when the Wham-O Toy Company bought the idea in 1957, they renamed it the Frisbee, capitalizing on the pie tin legacy. So yes, the thing you throw to your dog or awkwardly fling into someone's lemonade at a barbecue was inspired by flying pie plates. Pie, plates, and the name, completely stolen from a real bakery that had no idea they were accidentally inventing America's favorite non-lethal weapon. Next time you're at the beach hurling plastic at your friend's head, just remember. Your fun, sun-drenched game started with airborne pastry danger. Delicious, chaotic history. Number 11. Ladders were invented for bees. You think ladders are just there so you can reach that cursed Tupperware on the top shelf or hang Christmas lights you'll regret in January. Think again. The earliest known use of ladders was to steal from bees. Cave paintings in Spain, dated over 10,000 years ago, show early humans climbing makeshift rope ladders to reach wild beehives on cliff faces. That's right. People risked falling to their death just to swipe honey from stinging sky goblins. Ladders weren't designed for construction or home improvement. They were created for one goal. Get up there, ignore the bees, and steal the sugar goo. And honestly, that tracks. Humans have always done ridiculous things for snacks. If food didn't require a death-defying climb or fiery cooking ritual, did you even eat? Eventually, ladders were co-opted by builders, firefighters, window cleaners, and other responsible adults. But at their core, they are still primitive tools for robbing insects. So next time you're on a ladder wondering how your life led to this wobbly, terrifying balancing act, just know you're channeling the spirit of ancient sugar thieves. Number 12. Superglue was too powerful for its own good. Superglue, savior of broken mugs, costume malfunctions, and unfortunate finger fusions. It bonds everything instantly except your regret, which lingers for hours. But here's the twist. Superglue wasn't invented for DIY crafts. It was discovered by accident twice. In 1942, during WWII, a chemist named Harry Coover was working on a plastic for gun sights. He ended up with a substance that stuck to everything and was totally useless for his project. He shelved it because what's the point of a glue that never lets go? Fast forward to 1951 and he rediscovers the same material, this time realizing it could be packaged and sold as instant adhesive. It was so powerful it didn't need heat, clamps, or drying time. Just oops, now it's permanently attached. Even weirder, during the Vietnam War, medics used super glue to temporarily seal battlefield wounds. It wasn't FDA approved for skin yet, but hey, when you're being shot at, bureaucracy can wait. So yeah, the glue that now keeps your IKEA furniture from collapsing was once battlefield-grade body armor in a bottle. Just be careful with it, because one wrong move and suddenly your fingers are fused together like clingy twins at a sleepover. Number 13, treadmills were originally prison torture devices. Today, you hop on a treadmill to feel the burn and pretend jogging in place is fun. But once upon a time, treadmills weren't fitness machines. They were punishment devices for criminals. Back in 1818, English engineer Sir William Qtips invented the treadwheel to reform idle prisoners through hard labor. Imagine a giant rotating staircase like a sad hamster wheel for humans. Prisoners would climb this wheel for 6 hours a day, pushing its weight with their own bodies, sometimes generating energy to grind grain or pump water, hence the term treadmill. The idea was to break them physically so they'd be better people. Because apparently nothing teaches moral character like walking uphill forever with no destination, no water bottle, and no playlist. Eventually, the device was banned for being too cruel, which is saying something considering this was the 1800s, an era where medical bleeding and child chimney sweeps were still trendy. Fast forward 200 years and we're voluntarily paying $49.99 a month to recreate that same soul-sapping experience at the gym. The modern treadmill. Proof that we've turned punishment into cardio and called it wellness. So when your legs are on fire and your brain is asking why, just remember, you're literally doing Victorian jail time for fun. Number 14, ballpoint pens were built for warplanes. You're scribbling notes, doodling in meetings, or anxiously clicking the cap like your life depends on it. But that humble ballpoint pen you keep losing under your couch cushions. It was originally designed for fighter pilots. Before ballpoints, fountain pens were the norm and they were divas. They leaked at altitude, bled ink at weird angles, and basically refused to cooperate in stressful conditions. Not exactly ideal when you're piloting a tin can at 30,000 feet and trying to log coordinates mid-dogfight. Enter Laszlo Biro, a Hungarian-Argentinian journalist who thought, there's got to be a better way to write without ruining my shirt. He designed a pen using a tiny ball bearing that rolled ink onto the page smoothly, even upside down or midair. The British Royal Air Force caught wind of it and said, yes, give us a writing tool that doesn't explode under pressure. Boom, ballpoint pens became standard issue in cockpits before they ever showed up in classrooms. So yeah, the same tool you use to write, do not microwave foil on a sticky note, military-grade innovation. Respect. Also, fun fact, the reason your pens go missing so often, it's not your fault. They're secretly training for combat. Number 15, duct tape was made to seal ammo boxes. No, that's not a typo. Duct tape, before it was duct tape, was originally developed in WWII by the military to waterproof ammunition boxes. Soldiers needed something that could seal things tight, resist water, and withstand the kind of chaos that makes regular tape cry in a corner. The Johnson & Johnson company created a green, cloth-backed, rubber adhesive tape so tough it was basically the Hulk in strip form. It was called duct tape because it repelled water like a duck's back. It worked so well, soldiers started using it for everything, repairing guns, patching tents, strapping gear together, possibly even holding friendships. After the war, civilians brought it home and started calling it duct tape, thinking it was meant for sealing HVAC ducts, which, ironically, it's not great at due to fire hazards. But the name stuck, and so did the habit of fixing absolutely everything with it. Broken car mirror, duct tape. Leaky shoe, duct tape. Emotional damage, duct tape probably can't help, but people have tried. So next time you use it to keep your bumper on or fix your phone charger for the 7th time, just know, you're carrying on a proud military tradition of fixing everything with controlled chaos and stickiness. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.